Hello, I came across this pen via CSS tricks comment. It's a very natural feeling animation, and if we take a look at how it's done, we can see that it uses multiple nested elements. This is because the motion effect is achieved by animating a bunch of transform functions. So, as you can see, it goes up and down. Up and down means a translation along the vertical axis, the y-axis. It also gets squished when it gets to the ground. So that's going to be a scaling transform. And it also rotates in the upper part. So that's a rotation. And as you can see here, we're going to have a bunch of transforms: translation, scale, rotation. Okay, the thing is, keyframe animations apply to property values as a whole, not to components of property values. So we cannot have different sets of keyframes for different components of a transform value. So if we have a transform that's a translation, a scale, and a rotation, we cannot have a different set of keyframes for each component, a set of keyframes for the translation, a set of keyframes for the scale, a set of keyframes for the rotation. We can only have one set of keyframes for the whole transform value. So the way we go around this traditionally is by splitting this chain of transforms onto multiple nested elements. So we're going to have the translation on the outermost element. On the child, we're going to have the scale transform, and on the innermost element, we're going to have the rotation. So this is pretty much what is happening here. They have different sets of keyframes and different timing functions and stuff like that. Now, the thing is, now it's 2018, and we have better ways thanks to CSS custom properties and Houdini. So that's what I'll be showing you today. I forked this pen, and now I'll lead you through the process of understanding the code and simplifying it. So first of all, let's see what we can get rid of from here. So we're going to have some text properties, and we don't have any text in this demo, so we can just get rid of them. Let's see if the color does anything. So current color, does it find anything of the kind? It doesn't find anything of the kind, so we can just get rid of that as well. We're just going to get rid of the margins and of the top and left, and we're going to make this position a relative. Okay. Now, one more thing I'm going to want to do here is body display flex align items center, justify content center, height, make it full height. Okay, so this pretty much does it. Now that we've done this, we're not going to need of this fill mode, this animation fill mode, because animations are infinite, they don't have a delay, and they're non-zero in duration. So we're just going to replace this with nothing. Replace all. Okay, and now that we've done this, something else we can do is just take the styles from here and just put them on this element, and absolutely nothing changes. Okay, so this means we can get rid of that square element right here. Okay, so now that we've done this, let's align this properly. Let's see what else we can do. So here we have two sets of keyframes for the translation, and we can group them into just one. We're going to make this 80%, and we're going to make this 100%, and we're just going to get rid of this, make this jump. Okay, so now that I've done this, I'm just going to take this timing function from there. I'm going to remove that up from there. Okay. And I'm going to here animation timing function, ease in out. Now I'm going to move on to the HTML, and make this jump. Get rid of the up class. Oh, sorry. That's not what I intended. Oh. Okay. Okay. So now that I've done this, I'm going to do the same thing for the rotation. So just remove that. Okay, add this right here, make this 80%, get the timing function, wait, wasn't that easing out? Yeah, it was easing out. Okay, put the timing function there. Get rid of the rotate out. Okay. Let's see. Okay, yeah. Okay, it was my replacing in. That was the problem. So ease in. Okay, that was the problem, sorry. So now I'm just going to get rid of that. I'm going to get rid of that in. Get rid of the rotate out class. Move this shadow before the jump. Okay. And as you can see now, we've started reducing this whole thing. So, oops. We can, let's fix this stuff. Okay, something else we can do is just take this out of there. Just put it there. Get rid of the center. Make everything div. Absolutely positioned. Okay, so now that I've done this, I'm just going to get rid of the center class. Okay. Margin, this is going to be minus 50 pixels. Okay, and this is not working except for the shadow. So for the shadow, I'm just going to get rid of the position absolute and that set index. Okay, and that my replacing dash in has done a lot of collateral damage, but it's okay. We're just going to fix stuff. Now we're going to set the dimension here. So let's do something like this. And also let's make this 4 times this dimension so that stuff can scale nicely. Okay, and now for the left and right, we're going to set calc values, and these are going to be 50% minus that 4 pixel value minus half the dimension. Okay, And now we only need to fix the bottom. And actually we're going to use top here because it's just going to be easier. So we had 55% there. So calc 55% plus half the dimension minus half the height. So half the height is going to be 1 pixel because the height is 2 pixels. So that's just going to be my top. Okay. Come on. Why isn't the whole thing loading? Oh, come on. Okay. Now the thing is, the squeeze thing here has a transform origin. And for some reason that doesn't seem to be working anymore, and it's not working anymore because it has the height 0. So we're just going to use half the dimension. Okay, so now it's working again, as you can see. Okay, now one other thing here. We can get rid of this box shadow, and we're just going to add the spread to the dimensions. So we're going to make the height, it's going to be 18 pixels. Yeah, because we have twice 2 times 8 plus 2. And this is going to be 9. And this is going to add 8 on each side, so that's going to be 12. Okay. And this was ease in out. As I said, my in replacement has done some collateral damage. Okay, and this once again works as it worked in the first place. We can get rid of that box shadow. Okay, so it works as it did before. That's good. Okay, now for the most interesting part, and that's adapting this to use Houdini. Let's get rid of this rotate out because we don't need it. Okay, so the way we're going to do this, we're going to have just one element here. So that's going to use a translation, a scaling, and a rotation. So we're going to have transform, translate y, and this is going to use a y custom property, and then we're going to have the scaling. The problem with the scaling is that it has a transform origin that's different from the other two transform functions. So the way we're going to emulate this is with a translation before and a translation after. So that's going to be translate y, by half the dimension, and then we're going to have scale, and we're going to have a factor along the x-axis and a factor along the y-axis, and then we're going to have the same translation but reversed, so with a minus. So minus. Okay, and finally we're going to have the rotation. So rotate, and this is going to be an angle value, and this is a translation around the z-axis. Okay, so this is pretty much what I want here. And the animation is going to be a jump, and then I'm going to have the squeeze animation. Here, And then I'm going to have the rotation animation. Just put it here. Okay, and now I'll be able to just get rid of this stuff. Get rid of this stuff. Get rid of those. Okay, and I'm going to adapt my keyframes. Actually, this is the dimension, so, and this is minus half the dimension. Okay, now this doesn't work anymore, so we're just going to replace, just take this out, because okay, and this is going to be the y value, and it's going to be set to 0. And now we're going to register a property. So with Houdini, we can register custom properties as regular properties, and we can give them a type. So that's going to be CSS register property. And here we're going to have a name, and this is going to be y. Then we're going to have a type that's called syntax. And this is going to be length. Okay, and then we're going to have an initial value, and this is going to be minus 100 pixels. Okay, so this should do it here. CSS register property, name, syntax, initial value. Now we're going to have the same for the scaling factors. So except here we're going to have number. Here we're going to have this is going to be 1. Another one exactly the same. And finally we're going to have the angle. So this is going to be an angle, and the initial value is going to be 0 degrees. Now that I've done this, let's start modifying the CSS. Now here I'm just going to take out everything from this jump class. Okay, so this is just going to have 100% here, and I'm just going to remove this. So here I'm going to have and here okay. And now finally what I'll be doing is handling the rotation. And then I'm going to have the shadow. So on this I'm not going to need to set it, but here I'm going to set fx. Okay, and this I'm just going to take out. And here the default for fx is going to be, sorry, 0.5. Okay, so this is just getting way better. Thing is, here I can use a calc for this whole stuff. So I'm just going to put a plus in there. I'm going to interpolate this and put everything inside a calc. Okay, so something else I can do is just make it all one element. And the way I'm going to make it all one element is going to be hopper. So this is going to be my hopper element. And here I'm going to have before and after. And in addition to position absolute, here I'm going to have content. Oh, not condensed. Content empty. Then I'm going to have the before, and the before is going to be my shadow. So let's indent this properly. Now I can collapse this. I can collapse this as well. And this is going to be my after. So I'm going to take that. And just put it all there. Indent everything properly. Just rearrange the proper. Oh, sorry. Okay. Rearrange some properties here so that they make more sense. Okay. So this should pretty much do it. Come on. Okay, so yeah, this is it. This is what I wanted to show you for today, how you can reduce everything to just one element. And of course, this code could be probably compacted via formatting a bit more. Maybe there's some default that could be set, but for now I'm just going to leave it like this. So for example, I could just Actually, I could set this to minus 135, and then I'm not going to need to set it here. So I'll just minus 135, and I'm not going to need to set it here, for example. So just that. Yeah, this is pretty much it. I'm not going to dwell on it longer. If you want to play with it, I'm going to leave a link to this in the description. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have and you want me to be able to put out more stuff in the future, please consider supporting my work in one of the ways explained in the description below. You can do it with a donation. There's a link there, and any sum helps because it all adds up towards helping me to stay afloat. And you can also get me something off my Amazon wishlist. There are going to be links in the description below. And finally, you can just share this to show the world what can be done on the web these days, because I think it's pretty damn cool. We can animate custom properties, and we can give different timing functions and different CSS keyframes to different components of a CSS transform chain, and I think that's pretty damn cool. In any event, thanks for watching.